Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 109th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I am your host, as always, Justin Alonso, joined by Nicholas O'Brien. How are we doing, Nicholas O'Brien?
I'm doing good. Doing
Doing
well.
good. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to come right out of the gate swinging, okay? So for
Okay.
those that don't know, and who usually skip the intro, do not skip the intro, because we're going to be talking about some general stuff that's happened on the trade deadline. Right away, do the Guardians become massive sellers now?
I think massive is a bit of an overstatement, but I do think they become like sellers.
So, for those that don't know why we're saying this, a couple of hours ago, it broke that star closer Emmanuel Clase was put on the restricted list linked to gambling. The reason why is Luis Ortiz, there was also connection with him, and there's
Yep.
been a lot of clips on Twitter that are going out that almost the exact same thing as Luis. Have you seen the clips?
Yeah.
They're bad. Like, they are. There was a thread I saw of 10 where 8 were bounced before home plate, the other 2 should have hit the batter.
Mm.
So it's like that was the first pitch
Yikes.
of the ninth inning. And for those that don't know, there are like betting sites where you can bet like first pitch of an inning, ball or
Yeah.
strike, stuff like that. And that was the same exact thing that Luis Ortiz got flagged for, another pitcher on
Yep.
the Cleveland Guardians. So
Yep.
there may be a very serious scandal that comes out about the Cleveland Guardians within the next couple
Shout
of
out Nick.
months. What'd you say?
I said shout out Nick
Who?
for his saying that he smells something.
Oh, yeah. But I think there may be something there, but do you
Maybe.
think that they think like, oh shit, we're getting found out, sell the team?
I don't think so. There's also like I'm looking at the roster right now. There's not a ton they can sell. I mean, Carlos Santana, sure. Like he can maybe give you something. They're not trading any of their pitchers. There's been a lot of rumors about Cade Smith, maybe, but after that, there's not a ton there, if I'm being completely
The
honest.
thing that everyone's wondering, do you think this affects the odds of Jose Ramirez getting traded?
Absolutely not.
No, not even like 2%.
He has a no trade clause.
Everyone has a no trade clause.
Right. But even more so, just like, no, 0% chance. If it was possible to be below 0, it would be below 0.
I think you gotta at least give it a .001.
No, 0.
I do not. I would put all my money on him not getting traded, but there's like a .001% chance it does happen.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But
Yeah, them. You had the Rays who just traded Danny Jansen to the what team again?
Brewers.
To the Brewers. So
Yep.
they may be selling because they haven't been playing great baseball recently. The Yankees have a chance to turn them into full-on sellers because they're playing a 4-game series against them, which hint hint nudge nudge make them sellers. Because there's also a bunch of guys that the Yankees have asked them about. 3 guys on the infield alone that they've called about, not including Brandon Lau.
Right.
So they are a team that you obviously the Rays are always gonna have a bunch of pitchers that you could buy. So there's a lot of guys there that could be very interesting. The Twins just traded away Chris Paddock, and I think
Right.
that is the most interesting one because we always said the Twins and the Diamondbacks. We said last week that or Thursday, they are kind of the X factors of this trade deadline. Both of them have started to sell.
Yep.
With
Yep.
it was just a Naylor, right, for the Diamondbacks.
I believe
Wait.
so.
Did they also trade someone else or what?
I feel like they did.
Yeah, they
Hold on.
did. I feel like it was a guy that's a platoon guy.
Oh, Grichuk. That's who it
I was gonna say
Grichuk.
Pilar.
Yes. Yeah, no, Grichuk.
Grichuk, yeah. I knew it was an outfielder that like played for the Blue Jays.
Yes.
I know,
Yes.
but yeah,
So-
Grichuk just got traded. So that's two guys that they already traded. Obviously,
Yep.
Suarez, Kelly,
Gallen.
Gallen are gonna
Yep.
be like the big ones.
Yep.
Couple of relievers
There's
at Beekson.
A
who was
few.
yeah,
Yeah, Beeks and maybe possibly Shelby Miller.
Yeah, that's the name.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the forearm's looking. I haven't really heard anything about that, but I'm looking at some recent news. He threw a bullpen session yesterday.
Yeah.
No, I lied. It was reported that he threw a bullpen session on Friday. It was reported yesterday.
Yeah.
So he's still working his way back. I'm sure somebody would still be willing to trade for him. But yeah, Jalen
Especially
Beek,
with how
Shelby Miller,
the way the market is for relievers, you could get so much for relievers. I feel like this year because they are
yeah, for
like
sure,
the hot commodity this year.
definitely.
But yeah, so then circling back on the Twins, we named off what, or you named off what, four relievers.
Yeah, we can go super quick now. Johan Duran, Griffin Jacks, Brock Stewart, Danny Colomb. They can also maybe trade I don't know if it's Lewis or Louis, but Varland, he can also be someone to be traded. Let's see. They already traded Paddock, obviously. Joe Ryan's been circling. I don't think he gets traded, but his name's been
I think
circling
him and
around.
Pablo stay, but they could get a
Yeah, no,
lot
me
if they
too.
decided to trade one of them.
But yeah, they have a ton, a ton, a ton, a ton
That's not even
of
talking the hitters
relievers.
too, where you
Right.
have Willie Castro, Harrison Bader. Sure, there's a couple other guys I'm just forgetting off the top of my head. Don't they also have the catcher? What's his name? That got traded from the Red
Ryan
Sox. No,
Jeffers.
who was I thinking of?
Ryan Jeffers.
Where's Christian
Oh,
Vasquez?
Christian Vasquez. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
He's still on the Twins. He
that's what I
kind of
thought.
sucks right now, but he's still
I'll say if Austin
there.
Hedges could get a job for how good he was defensively, anyone could get a job if they're
Yeah.
that good defensively.
They could also trade Ty France.
That too, yeah.
That he's a little slightly below average hitter, but he's definitely not out of the question. So yeah, like we said, they're also another X factor because they just, especially in the bullpen, they have a ton of guys they can sell
Yeah.
off on, and they should.
They should. I'm trying to think. The Pirates, I mean, might as well mention it because they have a couple of relievers that are getting a lot of buzz around. And
Yes,
Bednar,
definitely.
Santana, um, I don't know if he's a starter or
Caleb
reliever,
Ferguson,
Caleb Ferguson, but Andrew Heaney, he's a starter right now, right?
he's a starter. He
So
sucks, but he's a starter.
three former Yankees that I just listed off. Another one, IKF, four former Yankees.
Yeah.
Get Miguel Andujar in here, and we're having a good time. But that has there really been anything on the Athletics front?
Not that I've seen. I don't think they haven't traded anybody. I haven't seen a ton of buzz. Looking over the roster now, I'm not really sure who. I mean, they could do like a Gio Urshela, but he has a 70 WRC plus on the year, so I'm not really sure anybody would want that. Luis Urias could also be an option. All jokes aside, Miguel Andujar could be an option. Haven't seen a ton on Severino, Jeffrey Springs. Those are like the two guys that could maybe get traded. But yeah, I haven't really seen a ton on the Athletics.
There's one other team I was thinking of. I can't
I
remember off the top of my head, but it's also important to note maybe the Marlins aren't as big of sellers as we thought because they are surging a bit. So they could kind
They
of get stuck in that
are.
limbo. You know what I mean?
I
Where I think let me say this, I believe they should sell. They 100% should sell, but I think they may force themselves into limbo, which is the worst place you could be.
They are 4 games under 500. To be fair, they are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're 6 games out of a wild card spot.
Mhm.
If they think they have any sort of chance, that's some serious copium.
I
There.
100% agree with you.
I,
100% agree with you. I just wanted to name drop them because I did see that they
yeah,
were playing a lot better.
they are, but I'm pretty sure, all else being equal, they're still selling.
Yeah. Um, I think a team like the Cardinals, it comes down to just what the Cubs and Brewers do.
Definitely.
Because I think
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think if the Cubs and Brewers like go out of their way and make these absurd big trades, because I know like the Cubs, they've been linked to a lot of big end starters, like Mackenzie Gore's one of the big names. So
Yeah.
if one of those teams gets like some pretty big talent at the deadline, I think the Cardinals try to sell. The last team I'd want to talk about is just because we thought they would buy, weren't positive was the Mariners. They traded for Josh Naylor, so it seems
Yeah.
like any little chance that there may have been of them selling seems like it's out the window now. Again, I
Yeah.
didn't think it was likely they would sell, but they were kind of one of those teams that were like a bit above limbo. So yeah, other than that, any big trade deadline stuff you wanted to mention, like any teams or
Nothing else. I don't think the Braves are kind of waving the
they
white
bought
flag a
they
little
bought
bit. in a way.
I mean,
They
they use
traded
money.
for they traded for Carrasco for money. They got Eric Fetty from the Cardinals for cash. So like
This,
I I kind of see it as kind of waving the white flag. It's kind of like we need guys to just pitch.
I was gonna say, I could also see this as a thing of we know we're most likely gonna trade a starter or two, so we are just getting
Yeah,
bodies into the building. Well, we still can.
possibly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but
Outside of that,
what you said?
I said outside of that,
Rangers
nothing
have been
else.
hot.
Oh, Seth Lugo
Oh
signed an
yes,
extension. Will not be traded, obviously.
it looks like from what I've heard is that the Royals, because Chris Bubich also is out for the year.
Yes, I did see
It
that.
looks like their kind of
It
core
sucks.
starters are not going to move. So him, Reagans, and obviously Bubich, that those three are kind of going to stay, but then
Yeah,
everyone else they'll listen to, and
yeah,
that's like throughout the entire roster. So
right.
obviously except for Bobby Witt, but and most likely Salvador Perez just because of how long he's been there. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's Rangers are hot. Don't think they're sellers. Think they're probably
yeah,
gonna be buyers. Also
likely.
because just aggressive ownership in general. I think that's it.
I think so as well. I think besides that, I think it's just a bunch of rumors for our specific teams, but
Which we will get
obviously,
into.
which we will get into. But besides that, for the landscape, I think that's all we got, and that's gonna be the final update as we sit here at Monday evening.
Yeah.
So we'll see how things progress.
And on that note, we will get into the Bronx.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Bronx. If you did not listen to the intro, go back, listen to the intro. We talked a lot about the trade deadline and just kind of what the market looked like, what teams started to sell, what teams look like kind of played themselves out of selling, teams that look like they played themselves into selling, all that type of stuff. But before anything, of course, and I feel like this episode is mostly going to be spent in this section for the Bronx, your injury
Likely.
update / roster moves brought to you by the Triboro MD. Getting a, I guess you could call it housekeeping one out of the way first is Clark Schmidt got in. They confirmed that he got an internal brace for the Tommy John surgery, so his timetable looks like 11 to 13 months. So if he stays on the timetable, he will pitch sometime next year. Great to see. Again, that's kind of just like housekeeping because that's not have any effect this year, and it's not gonna have an effect for a while. But
Neither here nor there.
good to know that he most likely will pitch at one point next year. Then the big one. So, Aaron Judge was placed on the 10-day IL with a flexor strain in his forearm. If people don't know what a flexor kind of like muscle group, it's kind of like right here-ish in your forearm, kind of like this. It's just a big clump of muscles, like right about here. These muscles, so you guys know how a collarbone, the whole point of a collarbone is to break, to prevent your neck from getting broken. The whole point of flexors is to get strained so that the UCL doesn't tear.
Mm.
That's kind of the best way to put it. That's kind of the best way that I saw people saying that the whole point of the flexor muscles is to take stress off the UCL. Obviously, when you put a lot of stress on the flexor, that could lead to a UCL. If people don't know, the UCL is the funny ligament that goes with Tommy John.
Tommy John ligament.
It's, I don't know why they call it your funny bone, because when you hit your elbow and it feels weird, you're hitting your UCL. It's not funny. It's not funny. But no damage whatsoever to the UCL. I think that's the biggest, most important thing by far. That just needs to be said. So it doesn't seem like it will be a long-term thing. Tommy John is not on the table right now, as is, because there's no damage, no reason to get it. They said that he most likely will miss the minimum, which is interesting, because they said that when he comes back, he'll DH for about 2 weeks. So it is a thing of, they said that swinging does not affect it. That makes sense.
Yeah, look at Harper.
Yeah, look at Otani even.
That too, yeah.
So it makes sense. Swinging doesn't affect it. I like the course of action. I just really wonder how long he's going to have to DH for and how much more he's going to have to DH for. Because let's give it a little bit of a timeline. So on Tuesday, because we're recording this on Monday, on Tuesday, he was in Toronto, threw a ball, kind of like winced, kind of like grabbed his hand, kind of grabbed like his forearm a little bit, left him in the game for a couple more innings, hit the big home run. Then Wednesday, they said, no, he's fine. He's just going to DH just because, like, one of those days, nothing happened to his arm. Thursday, they have an off day. Friday, he plays the game, plays all 9 innings, and I don't know if you know this, he made 3 throws in the 9th inning where they were down by, I think, 5 runs going into the 9th inning. He made 3 throws. In a game you're losing by 5 runs when Aaron Judge that day told you that he's dealing with forearm tightness. Or not tightness, but like he told you that his forearm was acting up. Why are we leaving him in there? It's one of those things of when you have a flexor strain, it's almost like a ticking time bomb that every throw that you make makes it worse and worse and worse and worse up until the point where it could just break and your UCL snaps. I don't know why we're fucking around with that.
Yeah.
I that just makes no sense to me that you knew for what is that? 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and you didn't think it was this. Granted, 1 day was DH day, another day was an off day. So what? But at the same time, you're preventing yourself also from getting more time out of Aaron Judge. Because say that you put him on the IL after Wednesday. That's 2 less days that Judge would have to be on the IL. Because you could proactively do it to Wednesday, but now they have to proactively place him from Friday. So that's 2 more days that Aaron Judge has to be on the IL with a serious risk of making that forearm even worse. The very serious risk of losing him for a year, if not more, putting into question his ability to play the outfield ever again. It just makes no sense to me how this team is with injuries. It pisses me off so much because I agree that teams should not make all things public to the media. I 100% agree with that because there is some gamesmanship to it. Obviously, it's different than a sport like football or whatever because like you said, like, oh, a guy's foot hurts, you're going to make sure to stomp on that foot every single play. So obviously it is different and there is a gamesmanship aspect to it. But still, at the same time, if you know, because the Yankees, keep in mind, have had a lot of position players over the years get Tommy John surgery. So if you know he's showing symptoms, why are you doing that? That goes back to Dominguez a couple of years throwing playing like 3 or 4 games with 1 UCL?
Yeah. I do think it's twofold, right? I think the fact that Judge did report he is feeling, his forearm's feeling funky the day of, I think it is a little bit of malpractice to keep him in that 9th inning. Obviously, I don't think you're going to keep him out of the game, the entire game. But it's also one of those things where like they can only do as much as Judge tells them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, hey, go to the MRI machine right now. You got to get that
No.
looked at. Like, no, it's like, yeah, basically.
No.
No.
I don't want to.
Yeah. So, again, it's both ways. You can only do as much as Judge lets them, and then someone like Judge is not going to take themselves out of the game. But in the 9th inning of a 5-run game in which you were losing, I think that's part where Boone has to put on his big boy pants and say, Judge, you're out.
And it's also a thing to me that if Aaron Judge is complaining about issues, say, okay, we're not going to play you today, give you the double off day. Obviously, you may not be able to force him to get tests. Try and convince him with the way of, we're giving you a double off day, and we want you to be healthy. Just get it just to see what we're dealing with. Again, you obviously, like you said, he can only do it if you want to do it. You can't force him to do it, especially Aaron Judge. But, I mean, I don't know. Just something about it just doesn't sit right with me.
It is super frustrating. I agree. But at the end of the day, I don't think it changes all that much. Personally.
It's the risk.
As a not doctor.
The risk that it could have. just seems
Fair.
unnecessary. That's more what it's a very unnecessary risk for very low reward.
Fair enough.
That's more what my issue is. But one of the big stories about it is that since he has to DH for 2 weeks after, and that's a minimum 2 weeks after, because they're definitely not gonna, if he's playing for 2 weeks, they're not gonna be like, or a week. Oh no, I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's only been a week, let's put him back out there and make it worse. No, they're gonna do the 2 weeks, probably more than that. Giancarlo Stanton is also a DH. They said that he's gonna be playing more outfield. Boone said that he's gonna be getting him more reps. Obviously, when Aaron Judge is out, the 10 days, like 7, 8 games, however long it is, Stanton's gonna be DHing. But even today, he was getting a lot of reps pre-game in the outfield. We'll see what happens there. Because I'm just thinking about it in my head. An outfield where your corners are Jason Dominguez and Giancarlo Stanton.
God bless Bellinger, Grisham, whoever's in center.
And then if Grisham is starting over Bellinger in center, God. But that's the least of concerns right now. Obviously, the outfield defense. All that matters right now is just Judge being healthy, Stanton's body not exploding when he plays the outfield.
Right, because that's the other thing. Like, they can get him ready, and next thing you know, Stanton's in the outfield for one game, and he's out with a hamstring.
I am saying this now. If Giancarlo Stanton is hitting well, I am fine with him jogging to every ball. I'm saying it now. I don't know about you, but if Giancarlo Stanton is hitting very well, and you know he's only going to be in the outfield for a couple of weeks, I am fine with him jogging. I don't care. Like, you don't have to full on sprint to balls. Position it in a way where he's taking up less ground. I don't care.
That's fair. I understand that.
It's almost
and the
like
other thing too is,
I was gonna say, it's almost like Judge last year or the year before that. I forget when I said it, but Judge was like, you could tell Judge was kind of like pulling up on balls. I think I forget when it was exactly, but I was like, good. Like, I don't want Judge going full body every single... And this was also when the injuries were a lot bigger of a concern for him. Like, no, good. I don't want to do it. So if I said it back then for Judge, I'm going to say it now for Stanton. So...
Yeah, I agree. And the other thing I was going to say is he only needs to play the outfield for, 7 innings? Maybe even 6. And then give him 3 at-bats and take him out.
Yeah. And... that kind of ties into what I'm going to talk about later with the trade deadline. A little bit of teaser there, but there could be even more moves for the Bats coming. But speaking of moves that the Yankees have made, they made 3 trades. 2 of them adding players, 1 of them subtracting. They traded for Ryan McMahon from the Colorado Rockies for Griffin Herring, the number 8 prospect in the Yankee system, Josh Cross, the number 22 prospect in the Yankee system. The amount of people that I saw shitting on this trade because Griffin Herring is like a 2.1 ERA is ridiculous. Because do you know what level of the minor league system that Griffin Herring is in? High A.
1A.
So, like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I even, like, I said this in our group chat, and I said before in, like, our last episode that I just need a guy with a floor. With a decent floor. That's all I really care about. You got probably one of the safest floor players, I think, out of the third baseline. Just because of how good his defense.
I was going to say, in terms of overall value,
player, yes.
Yes, I think the floor for McMahon is pretty. It's
probably the highest out of any third base option at the deadline.
Besides Suarez, probably.
You'd say Suarez's floor is higher?
I would say so, just because of just how well he's hitting.
Okay, that's fair.
Like, even if he takes a step back, he's still an amazing hitter.
I'm also thinking about it from the Yankees' perspective, where I'm a little concerned about like the batted ball profile and just him being like a dead pull hitter.
Yeah, I mean, fair, but still, I think he would make it work regardless.
Yeah. Anyways, regardless, I really like the trade. You're giving up 2 guys in high A. You're taking on the rest of his contract, so it's this year plus 2 more years. He's only getting paid $16 million a year for the next 2 years. Good value. Just good value. We saw how many defensive plays that he made that were just like absurd over the weekend. He had the very clutch hit in the game on Sunday off Zach Wheeler to tie the game. Then ended up scoring, I forget if it was I think it was the 4th run in that inning. So not the go-ahead run, but the insurance run on top of that. So I like what I've seen. He looks like a stud defensively. I definitely see the swing and miss. You definitely can see it at times, but I'm fine with it because there's another thing. Nicholas O'Brien.
Yes.
Do you know why I wanted the Yankees to trade for Cody Bellinger so badly?
Why did you want the Yankees to trade for Cody Bellinger so badly, Justin?
If you remember correctly, it was because Cody Bellinger was last year pulling the ball in the air the most of his career by far. Ryan McMahon is doing the same exact thing where his pull fly ball rate I think is up like 5% over last year. So, something crazy like that. I know it's like 18, 19% is the highest of his career. So I love that from Ryan McMahon because he's a guy that can run into home runs.
Yes.
What'd you say?
I said yes.
And I don't care what people say about the core splits because I've always been a believer that your numbers at cores are going to be a lot higher. Your numbers on the road are going to be much lower because you're just not used to seeing nearly as much breaking on the pitches. That is one of my only concerns, not necessarily the home road splits, just the adjustment period. That would kind of be my only thing, kind of like adjusting to the mean. Because people will say, like, oh, DJ LeMahieu did it, but DJ LeMahieu, first off, also won a batting title with Colorado. And second off, he had a full offseason to do it. He didn't have the 2-3 days thrust right into a pennant race. So I do think people comparing that is kind of a lazy comparison. But anyways, love the trade for McMahon. I think it really does help. We just said that they need a much higher floor. They didn't need a superstar. They just need a very good player. You got that. Only knock on Ryan McMahon, he doesn't hit lefties. That's why he traded for Ahmed Rosario. Ahmed Rosario has about a 125 WRC plus against lefties. I looked it up last night. Forgot to write it down. I remember it was I think it was like 124, 125. Not good against righties. Hits about 75 WRC plus. So this looks like it will be a strict platoon because I don't know if you know this, but to the casual viewer, Ahmed Rosario is one of the worst defensive players I've seen in my entire life.
Awful.
He
was
butcher. Awful. A horrendous. That's why people are saying like, oh, he'll play shortstop sometimes to spell Volpe. No. I don't want this guy. I barely want this guy to play third base. I'm only living with it because he's a short side platoon, and you could deal with a short side platoon being a bad defender. So, and I saw so many people like, oh, the Yankees need to do something at third base. The Yankees did this at third base. Oh, why didn't they just get one person instead of getting two people for a platoon situation? I feel like this is just a perfect platoon situation.
Yeah. And honestly, I think this is probably the best you're going to do outside of Suarez. Maybe Willie Castro.
Thank you.
Is
put respect on his name.
Maybe Willie Castro is probably a little bit better, but I think for what it's worth, I think these are two decent trades. McMahon's profile, I think, is going to fit Yankee Stadium pretty well, obviously. His batted ball stuff was always
I didn't even talk about that. He hits the ball as hard as anyone.
He hits the ball hard, and hopefully just that adjustment for not going to cores and back will help him a ton. Like we mentioned, the defense is always going to keep him at a good floor, and you solve third base for at least the next 2 seasons unless otherwise. That's something I criticize the Yankees for constantly this year because it never seemed like they had a plan for third base. Ryan McMahon fits that for at least the next 2 seasons.
They were all in on George Lombard at third base. Right. They pretty much were all in on him. And now this also, you want to look years down the road, this also puts pressure on Volpe because now Lombard, he could just play shortstop and instead of having to play third base. So that's a discussion for another day. But just Ahmed Rosario, to me, he is a Walmart Willie Castro.
Fair.
In the sense of a guy that hits a lot better against lefties, not as good against righties. Willie Castro is above average at both. Plays a bunch of different positions at a very bad level, but plays a bunch of different positions. So I like it. I'm shocked that they gave up Clayton Beeter for it. I mean, the only reason why is he, first off, 20th ranked prospect, but he was kind of like the 27th, 28th man. So listen, Clayton Beeter, not been good this year. I am not arguing saying that he's been good this year. I just didn't think that they were ready to move on from him.
Same.
Eh,
When I first saw the trade and I saw Ahmed Rosario for Clayton Beater, I was like, wow.
yeah.
Like I was just, it just seemed like like you said, he was just the next guy up for a lot of these games, and I liked the profile for the most part. Obviously, he hasn't had as much success as we would have liked, but again, these are the type of trades that happen when there's not a ton of sellers out right now. You get fringe roster guys, not fringe roster guys, but role
Platoon guys,
players,
role guys, yeah.
right? Role players for those top fringe top 20, top 25 guys.
Yeah. And even because it was something I was going to look up because I was curious, he does still have 2 more options. So it wasn't a thing of options. I really think it was probably just because you're essentially going 1-for-1 on the 40 man. I think that has a
Right.
decent amount to do with it because they already did one move and they could do one more that clears up another 40 man spots. But speaking on that really quickly, the Yankees also made another trade, the third trade. They traded Carlos Carrasco to the Braves for a player to be named later or cash. That always so weird to me. The idea of a player to be named later. So
We'll
how do
figure it
you
out.
how do you agree on the player?
Usually, I believe I've read this somewhere. I wish I remembered. It's legitimately like, or this could be completely wrong. So, either don't quote me, but it could be like a list. It's like, hey, you can this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. You can choose from this list, and that will be the player to be named later.
Okay.
I
Makes
think.
sense, but
I think.
anyways, confusing because that also when's the deadline? Whatever.
Yeah.
But that also clears up a 40 man spot. So you cleared one off for that. You also will clear one up when you move Clark Schmidt to the 60-day IL. So that's 2 40 man roster spots you're clearing up. And it's also worth noting the Yankees have been probably the most linked team to aggressively buying for bullpen arms.
Yeah.
So, and that's not even like hyperbole. No, the Yankees have been probably the most aggressive team at this deadline so far. Trading for McMahon on Friday, trading for Rosario. It was yesterday or it was Saturday, I believe, right?
That was Saturday night. Yeah.
Saturday for Rosario, and then trading Carlos Carrasco today. That's 3 trades, pretty aggressive so far, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be stopping. But really quickly, before I get into kind of, because I'm barely going to talk about the games, if I'm being honest. I'm just
That's
going to
fair.
kind of like get into it. The only thing that I would want to mention is how Paul Goldschmidt threw home, and Aaron Boone said that you just got to hope the runner trips. You didn't see that?
No.
Yeah, Paul Goldschmidt. So Trey Turner was running. He was coming from third, and it was a very like a perfect throw. Probably doesn't get him because it's Trey Turner
Yeah.
running. Whatever. Paul
Right.
Goldschmidt goes home, throws the ball away. Runner from first advances second. Yada yada. Little league play that we've seen a million times with the Yankees. After the Boone, game says, well, if you're Paul Goldschmidt, you try to make that play because you're Paul Goldschmidt. I get what he's saying. I don't agree with it. I get
Boring
what he's
answer.
saying.
Uh-huh.
And then he says, and even if like you don't make the play, you gotta hope that he trips or something. I am not exaggerating. I will get you the quote right now. Boone tripping. It
Like, why even say that? I mean,
it's
like maybe if you singled out Turner, I could like accept
you're
it. Like, oh, you just gotta hope Trey Turner trips.
you're Paul Goldschmidt, and this is a direct quote. You're Paul Goldschmidt,
Yep.
and you're gonna trust that he's going to throw the ball on line, even if we don't have a play there. Maybe something happens, the runner trips something.
That's a bad answer. I don't like that answer.
What?
I don't like that answer at all.
What? We're at the point where we're hoping runners trip.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't get on Boone because I think it's kind of just like a pointless discussion. But like, what? Goofy. Whatever. I'm moving on from that. Luis Heel
Yeah.
is likely to throw another rehab start. They didn't say when exactly, but it kind of would be like sometime like Wednesday, Thursday. Something interesting of note: Mark Stroman starts on Thursday, so he would be synced up with Marcus Stroman. So maybe something like that. Maybe you, if you really want to, you do him for Schlittler instead and kind of just like give Heel like another day or two to recover. I don't know. Gonna be very interesting. We'll obviously have more as it goes on. Also knowing what the Yankees are gonna have with their rotation based on trades and stuff. But the way this rotation like kind of is you got 3 solidified guys once Heel comes back, and then everyone else. You got for the 4-5 spots, you got Will Warren, Cam Schlittler, Marcus Stroman, and if Yarbrough comes back, that's 4 names for the last 2 spots. And it also seems like they're very interested in the rental pitching market. What they do? Who knows? But getting into, might as well talk about it now. The rental pitching market kind of seems like that Dylan Cease, Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen are kind of like the big 3, I guess you would call it for that. A couple of names here and there. Jeff Passan did link Mackenzie Gore to the Yankees. Obviously, that's not a rental there. He has a good amount of control.
Good
what,
chunk.
3.5 years of control?
Something like that.
3.5,
right.
maybe 2.5. A lot of control from Mackenzie Gore. He's having a very
Yeah.
good season. He's striking out everyone and their mother. So I would love Mackenzie Gore. I just don't think the Yankees. You would have to give up like Jones or Schlittler, and I don't think they want to do that.
You would have to probably give up both.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm making. You'd have to give up
Yeah.
at least one of them, and the Yankees seem like that Lombard and most likely Jones are untouchable. So if they think that Jones is untouchable and Schlittler is very close to that too, I don't see them trading both of them for Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to really even talk about that one that much because I don't think it's going to happen. Worth noting that they were linked to him.
Sure.
And if it is true that the Yankees are going like hard after guys, could be something there. Just some other names that the Yankees were linked to. There was a lot more bats than I expected. Like the last, call it 24 hours, even after they traded for Ahmed Rosario, a lot of teams have linked them to bats. A big one that I did not really expect was Harrison Bader. Where, makes sense, crushes lefties, very good defender. You can make a platoon there with Jason Dominguez. Okay, I get it. Also annoying because what's the point of Jason Dominguez being a switch hitter if you're going to platoon him? Anyways, other guys that they were very interested in is they called up the Rays in 3 guys that they talked to. Jose Caballero, Ha-Seong Kim, Taylor Walls. Taylor Walls should be flipping burgers. Jose Caballero is not that good of a player. Ha-Seong Kim is hurt. I love Kim though. How much did we talk about me just loving Kim?
Let's talk about him a decent amount in the offseason.
He's also hurt, so I don't think it's really feasible for him,
Got
just
it.
the way the team is playing. IKF and Willie Castro are the other 2 bats that were mentioned. IKF is the only thing I say, okay, maybe he's matured a little bit better defensively at shortstop, because that's kind of what they would want. They said they kind of want a guy that can play shortstop to spell Volpe a little bit. IKF is horrendous at shortstop this year. I think he's 22 percentile, 22nd percentile. That's above average, something crazy like. It was in the blue. It was in the big blue. That's all I know. And Willie Castro, this may be my bias speaking, but it still makes sense. Because
he's also just not good defensively anywhere.
Where, Willie Castro?
Yeah, he's maybe average. Maybe.
Because my thing is that if you want a platoon, if you want Willie Castro to be a guy, or you're looking for a backup outfielder and a backup outfielder that hits lefties and a backup shortstop, that's Willie Castro.
That's also Jose Caballero.
I know, but Willie Castro is a much better hitter.
I guess.
Willie Castro is a 131 WRC plus against lefties, a 111 against righties. I remember that off the top of the head because Willie Castro is one of my favorite players, and the Yankees have been linked for years to Willie Castro.
Yeah, I get it.
That's the reason why I'm bringing him up, because they've been linked to him heavy and mentioned. But then where there's probably the Yankees may get a starter, like a 4-5 guy. May happen, may not. Where the money is going to be made for the Yankees is the bullpen. This is where we can kind of gauge how good of a team they will, because the bullpen has been horrible. In June, they have a 6.22 ERA with 34 home runs allowed in 164 innings. That is horrible.
Yeah.
Worst bullpen in baseball. I'm not exact. Worst bullpen ERA in baseball in the month of July. A big reason for that is Devin Williams, who has been pitching a lot better as late. I really love Devin Williams. I don't think people are giving Devin Williams enough credit for how he kind of bounced back after how bad of a start he had. Then you got everyone else. Kind of. Luke Weaver's been up and down since coming back from the injury. He's been giving up a lot of home runs. Tim Hill has kind of been thrusted into your third guy on the trust tree. Where, look, I love Tim Hill. He shouldn't have to be your third guy on the trust tree. I think that's just, you signed him for $6 million for 2 years. He is a guy that most likely will go in particular lanes against lefties. He shouldn't be the third guy in your bullpen. Part of that, granted, is because of injuries to Mark Leiter and Fernando Cruz. But then everyone else, it's like Ian Hamilton's your fourth guy. Jonathan Loaisiga, where, like I mentioned, Weaver being up and down, giving up a lot of home runs. Jonathan Loaisiga is a batting practice machine right now. Yeri De Los Santos, JT Brubaker, Brent Hedrick. That's another reason why I was shocked that they traded Clayton Beeter. Just because of how struggling their bullpen is. Whatever, but you, after the top three guys, it's like, because,
like you said, even Weaver, like you said, has been and
he,
Hill shouldn't be in the position that he is in.
Granted, he's been pitching awesome. He has been awesome in it.
100%.
It's not a knock on Hill. It's just first off, he shouldn't be your only lefty in the bullpen. That's another issue entirely. But he also shouldn't be your third guy in the bullpen. Granted, injuries to Leiter and Cruz changed that. But can you also guarantee those guys are going to come back?
Yeah, especially Leiter. Leiter's the one I'm kind of more,
I mean, Cruz has also had 2 injuries this year.
Fair.
I believe both were soft tissue too. So
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, a back end, not back end, like front end, 8th inning type guy definitely should be on the Yankees' radar.
Yeah, because the kind of like a lot of the guys, I just wrote down a bunch that I saw: Caleb Ferguson, Andrew Heaney, Dennis Santana, David Bednar, Danny Colombe, Luis Varland, Johan Duran. Who's the other one? The other 2, Griffin Jacks, and what's the other guy from the Twins?
Brock Stewart.
Bunch of guys up and down that you kind of like can point to. I did mention Bednar. Bednar, Duran are kind of like the top guys, I would say, this trade deadline. Clase was up there, but now that he's gone, that's also going to up the price for Duran and Bednar. So it's tough because the Yankees truly do need at least one solidified guy and then one project guy. You can't get out of this with 1 or 2 project guys and nothing else. You need at least one solidified guy. That's just
I agree.
Like that. And even then, like, I don't know if the Twins sell, because I was kind of shocked when they traded away Chris Paddock, because I've been seeing stuff that the Twins probably are going to sell, like, the team soon, and ownership wants they want to bring in their own guys. So why would you trade for assets that your own guys didn't bring in?
I mean, yes, I understand that, but in the same breath, like, if trading, you don't even have to trade Duran. If you trade a Griffin Jacks, and that collapses your team.
Yeah.
This was not a very good team to begin with. I can understand hesitating to trade a Willie Castro.
Yeah.
I get that.
He's a free agent, though, after the year.
He is.
Yes.
Huh. Never mind. Rentals should be going, in my mind.
I'm 90% sure. I can look it up now, but I'm pretty sure that he is.
But Willie Castro, if he is a rental. Harrison Bader, Christian Vasquez, Ty France. A Griffin Jacks, maybe.
He is a free agent.
Yeah. The rental should be going. I think it's smarter to recoup value where you can than being like, hey, I want a good team next year because I'm taking over.
I agree with you. No, I definitely agree with you on that. That's kind of the point where I was going, where I don't think Duran gets traded.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I was like leaning into, that like, yeah, probably some of the other guys may get traded, but I don't think Duran does.
They also apparently asked from the Phillies for Duran for Andrew Painter, who's one of the best pitching prospects in baseball.
Yeah.
So if that's going to be the price,
it'd be Lombard.
He is not getting traded. Yeah.
It'd be
Jones
plus.
or Lombard, probably.
I think it would be Lombard. If they're asking for Painter, they would ask for Lombard.
Well, Painter's like, he probably is in the rotation next year.
Yeah.
So that's the
Okay.
only reason why I say Jones instead of Lombard.
Yeah. Because Baseball America just did come out with new prospect ratings. Lombard, I believe, was either 30 or 31. Then Spencer Jones, I believe, was 93.
Right.
So that's kind of why I was saying Lombard, just because there is a pretty drastic difference.
Yeah, no, fair.
That being said, Spencer Jones played himself into being untouchable, I think. Maybe not
I
untouchable,
think,
but very, very
yeah,
close.
yes. I think whatever the step below untouchable is, it's like one of those if you're trading for
Paul
Joe Ryan.
Skeens.
Sure, Paul
All right, let me
Skeens
just say this:
even.
if Paul Skeens is on the table, I will cut my arms off.
He's not.
I know, but I'm just saying, if
Your
a
arms can
guy
stay.
of Paul Skeens is on the table, no one's untouchable. That's kind of
Oh
just
yeah,
where I'm going.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. But I would trade Spencer Jones for a Joe Ryan.
I would too. I probably would.
I think that's kind of like the line.
If Merrill Kelly probably had like another year or two of control, I probably would.
I will lean no, but understand.
You know what I mean? Like, you probably could add in another prospect, get a reliever back too.
Yeah.
But regardless,
Regardless.
probably not going to happen. I don't think Jones gets moved because I said it before. Spencer Jones is one of those players that everyone has so many hot takes on Spencer Jones. My take is I have absolutely no idea if you should trade him or not. My take has and always will be if you are the New York Yankees and you believe there is a good chance what Spencer Jones is doing is somewhat replicable in the major leagues, you cannot trade him. If you don't think so, or you lean that you probably isn't, trade him. On that note, that's that. Trade deadline is Thursday at 6, correct? I believe it's at
Something like
6.
Yeah, 6 sounds right.
You
Definitely
have
Thursday.
a 4-game set against Tampa Bay Rays. You can turn the Rays into sellers very easily if you win 3 out of 4 here. That's what you gotta do. That's it. Embarrass the Rays, make them sell, because you're not only obviously getting higher in the division standings, trying to get back up there, you're also knocking out competition in the wild card standings. So,
Which more and more likely seems
more and more
to
important.
be the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I had. If you didn't have anything else, take us away into Queens.
Yeah, I got nothing. I think, like you said, play good against the Rays, add some depth in the position player group, and a eighth inning type guy, and I think you're cooking.
I don't even
But
think the position player depth is needed. It's nice, but I don't think it's needed.
I agree. I think if you move on, if the trade deadline comes and this is the position group you go with, I think you're okay.
It's fine.
But I think there could be just some
For the depth.
addition.
For the bench.
Yeah. But with that being said, that's all I got. So let's head over to Queens.
Now entering Queens.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Queens, where the Mets finish up a sweep of the San Francisco Giants. But more importantly, trade for lefty. Lots of rumors, especially about one Mark Vientos. We'll talk about that, but of course, first and foremost, Triboro MD injury report. Super quick one. Tyler McGill has started to throw bullpens, and we're probably looking at a late August return for him. Moving on to the trade deadline stuff. Mets made their first trade of the deadline season, grabbing left-handed pitcher Gregory Soto from the Baltimore Orioles for right-handed pitchers Cameron Foster and Wellington Aracena is what I'm going to assume it's pronounced. I apologize. But both of those guys, Foster, I think was 26, I believe. He just got to AAA, so he's kind of just more of a depth piece. And Aracena was the more, I guess, headliner of this package. He's 20-year-old, I believe, in low A. Command has been an issue, but, averages 97 fastball, touches 100. An electric arm, but 20 years old, all the way down in low A. Maybe probably going to be a reliever.
It's a project
So
arm.
it is, yeah, basically it is a project arm, as electric as his stuff is. But that's what you get for Gregory Soto. He kind of fills in that back end of the bullpen and the lefty need I talked about last week. With the Orioles, he posted a 3.28 FIP with a 3.79 expected FIP in 45 games, 27.5 strikeout percentage with an 11.3 walk percentage. That's his biggest issue. That's going to be the thing that drives Mets fans crazy. Like the rest of this bullpen, he walks a ton of guys.
Like the other Juan
But
Soto, he walks a ton.
yeah, exactly. The two Sotos walk a ton. One is that's really good for, the other not so much.
In what,
But
but they also do good with strikeouts. Where it's really good that one has high strikeouts, it's really good
yeah,
the other one
really
has
good
low
the other with low
strikeouts.
strikeouts.
So it works.
What's better than one Soto? Dos Sotos. But the stuff is where he really shines. A 113 stuff plus overall that's highlighted by a 113 sinker and 117 slider. That's from Fangraphs. He throws 97, touches the upper 90s, wipeout slider, throws a sweeper. I'm going to assume this is a poorly tracked ball, but he apparently has thrown a few splitters this season, but he's only thrown 4, so they might just be mis
Is the movement kind of
characterized.
similar to other pitches he throws?
Yeah, it kind of falls into like the sinker fastball area, so that's why I'm
That kind of
kind of
like range or like margin of error, kind of. Where
yeah,
like, yeah.
right. So that's why it might just be a poorly tracked sinker. I mean, yeah, poorly tracked sinker. But mentioned sinker touches 97, slider, four seam, gets to the upper 90s, also throws a sweeper, and he just strikes guys out. I think he kills lefties. That's his biggest thing.
Yeah.
He can get righties out, but he has held lefties this year to a 133 average, a 264 on base, and a 267 slug.
Mm.
He's been amazing against lefties and adds just another look from this bullpen when your only lefty was Brooks Raley. And another part that I like about this get as well is Brooks Raley's more of a finesse guy. He doesn't throw hard. Gregory Soto throws hard. Those are two different looks from the left side. I see Soto as the guy that comes on with one out, maybe two outs, Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper coming up. Like, that's when you're going to put in Soto. Brooks really more for like the clean inning. You want him for a full eighth inning type of thing. Soto, you're putting in to get the strikeout on the big lefties.
He's a firefighter. He's the fireman.
Basically.
I
Basically.
I forget if it was him or someone else. I think it was him that who does the John Hammond do the podcast with?
Joel Sherman?
Joel Sherman said that Gregory Soto's the type of guy that would have been given most likely to walk a guy, hit a guy, strike out the next three guys in high
Yeah.
school. Where it's just that makes
sounds
sense.
right.
That makes a
Definitely.
lot of sense.
For sure. But I like the trade. I think that's kind of just what you needed to pay. Yeah, good overall. Just any other thoughts on Soto with the
You
trade?
gave up a project arm for him, so what?
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
kind of how.
exactly.
That's my thing. Like these type of guys grow on trees at this point. Like you got so many guys like live arm. How many times do we talk about prospects? And I feel like it's almost become a joke. Where like has high strikeouts, but guess what? Can't control for shit.
Walk. Yeah,
So it's like so
definitely.
what? Like that's I don't know. It's a good value for both sides. I see what the Orioles made the trade. I definitely see what the Mets did too.
For sure. But like I said at the top, he fills the back end. I do think the Mets need front end. I would be comfortable or slightly below comfortable if they didn't. I would really, really, really like if they did get like a true eighth inning guy behind Diaz. But again, I think a combination of Garrett, Stanek, Raley, even Brasban, I'll group in together. A combination of those four guys, I do have a decent amount of trust in to get the ball to Diaz. But again, I would love, love, love to see a Griffin Jacks behind Edwin Diaz.
You don't see Soto as 7th, 8th inning guy?
7th, I think 8th is pushing it. I think he did pitch the 8th on Sunday, funny enough. But in an ideal world, I do think he is that fireman type of guy where, again, 1 or 2 outs, the big lefties are coming up. We need strikeouts or even a ground ball because he throws the sinker, obviously. Put in Soto. I think ideally that's where I think he plays best, but I could be wrong. He could just go on a hot stretch, and he is the 8th inning guy.
Now, this could be kind of talking out of my ass, and it may not be it could go both ways because some people may be on the train of like no clearly defined rules, but I feel like the Mets almost have so many guys that you could mix and match for the 7th and 8th that like it almost seems like they'd be fine just playing matchups 6, 7, 8, and then Diaz 9 in like an ideal world.
I think that's fair. I do think that's fair. And to your point, Stanek touches 100 with the splitter. Garrett is more of a sinker guy with the splitter. Brooks Raley's from the left side. Huascar Brasban's changeup sinker. You do have a lot of different looks, and to your point, I do think there is a lot of matchup based with it. But my biggest concern is I trust these guys for the 8th inning, less so if they need to close out a game when Diaz is unavailable. Like, I would
Fair.
love to get somebody I'm comfortable with, Griffin Jacks, to close out the game when Edwin Diaz is not available. I'm not sure how much I can take Ryan Stanek closing out games.
That's fair.
He got
No,
2 of them
that's
last
fair.
week.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where I come from in that. And you know what? I completely forgot about Jose Buto. Jose Buto can also play in the 8th inning. I would be okay with that as well. I would love somebody to close things out when Diaz is not there.
Yeah.
But moving on from Soto, got a lot of just housekeeping notes for rumors before we get into the big one. From the past week, the Mets have expressed interest in Brandon Lowe, right?
I don't
Is it
even
Lau or
know,
Low?
dude. Low.
I
One's a
think
low,
it's
one's a
Low.
low. I think it's low too.
Brandon
'Cause
Lowe from Tampa Bay
Is
Rays.
it Nate Lowe or Nate Lau? It's Nate Lau, right?
Lau.
So then it's
Yeah.
low.
Low. Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals and Edward Cabrera from the Marlins.
I would kill a family
Low,
for Ryan Helsley.
yeah. Low is interesting because I'm not really sure where he fits. I would assume one of the infielders goes back in a potential trade, but he only plays second base. And obviously, Brett Beatty plays there. Ronnie Mauricio could play there. Luis Angel Acuna could play there. Jeff McNeil can play there. I'm not sure where this fits. So I'm not really going to discuss it because I really don't see him as a fit. Ryan Helsley, music to my ears. I do think the Mets don't go after a rental. I think Gregory Soto was their rental. I think if they do get the 8th inning guy I was kind of talking about, it would be somebody like Griffin Jacks, like David Bednar. Even we'll call it Johan Duran with team control. I'm 99% sure Ryan Helsley is a free agent after this year, so I don't exactly see them going after him. And like we mentioned in the intro, I also am not sure where the Cardinals are in the selling portion because they are 3.5 games back of a wild card spot. They are not winning the division, so I'm not sure where they are just
He
yet.
is a free agent, by the way.
He is a free agent, so yeah, I don't think they go after a rental.
I feel
Edward
like
Cabrera.
I was gonna say,
Go
I feel like if anything though, bullpen is a spot where you kind of patchwork it year in, year out.
Yeah,
It may not be
definitely.
the sexiest, but I feel like out of all the groups that you can go to, bullpen is the one. Especially having Diaz locked in for what, 2 more years after this year?
He does have an opt out. That's the other thing.
Okay.
That's been talked about a decent amount the past week. If they do get a reliever, it could be somebody that can close if Diaz does opt out. Griffin Jacks. But that's neither here nor there. I think from everything I've read, it sounds like the Mets are operating
Under the
in the
assumption.
sense of that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
It's 2025. We'll figure it out in the offseason.
Yeah. And
So-
that's
Edwin Diaz is not guaranteed next year, is basically what I'm getting at.
Because I feel like a lot of guys, no one's gonna talk about it, but I feel like a couple of guys, same story for the Mets. Like a couple of guys also aren't guaranteed because McNeil's playing a lot better. He's a free agent after this year, correct?
No, he has one
One
more
more
year
year,
and then
yeah.
a team option,
Okay.
I believe.
Pete Alonso, no guarantee by any
Yes.
means. That's kind of like the big one.
That's
The
the big one for sure.
The rotation's kind of patchwork right now, in a sense.
In a way.
In a way, well, in a way, yes. So I just feel like there's a lot of people not realizing, like, no, like the Mets have a shorter. I don't want to say timetable, because that kind of seems weird, but like, it's not the worst idea to trade for a bunch of rentals. That's kind of where I'm going for. Because you also do have a lot of money coming off the books.
Yeah, you do have you have $20 million in Starling Marte. You have potentially $20 million in Edwin Diaz. Jesse Winker is going to be a free agent. Paul Blackburn, Griffin Canning. I think that's it. I believe. So, that is a good chunk.
Yeah.
And then obviously Pete, 30 mil is not going to be his salary. If you do sign him next year, I doubt 30 million is going to be his
Probably
salary.
like 25, but for a lot longer.
Probably. So there's like a $5 million difference there as well. But the last guy I was going to mention was Edward Cabrera on the Marlins, and also Sandy Alcantara. I'll kind of just group them together. Both of them under team control for the next couple years. Sandy, as we know, has not been the same pitcher that he has been coming off Tommy John. I'm honestly, the more and more I think about it, I'm not sure how much of an upgrade he is right now to warrant a trade for him. Edward Cabrera, on the other hand, I'm all over. Despite the injuries, when he does pitch, he's been excellent. So I would love, love, love if they could make that work. I still have a hard time picturing them trading for that starter. But I think someone like Edward Cabrera, who has a couple more years of control, that's the type of guy that they're going to want. And then just to round it out, it was said on Sunday Night Baseball that Astros have asked around the Mets about their infielders. That includes the big group I've been talking about: Mauricio, Beatty, Acuna, and Vientos. And then lastly, at one point, the Mets did push for Camilo Doval from the Giants. I'm not sure how far that got, and not sure if the Giants even want to sell. But if the Giants are open to dealing Camilo Doval, that's another guy I would be interested as well. Now, the big rumor from last week, it's been kind of growing and growing as the days have gone on, with Luis Robert Jr. and the White Sox want Mark Vientos in a Luis Robert trade. Came out today, the Mets are open to moving Vientos. Not that they're actively shopping, but for the right deal, it sounds like they're open to trading him. Justin, give me your thoughts.
Is it for Lubob?
Anywhere you want to go it. Mark Vientos for Luis Robert, moving Vientos, whatever avenue you want to take,
Yes.
the floor is yours. You would trade Mark Vientos for Luis Robert straight up.
How many years does Lubob have left?
It's 1 year and then 2 years, 2 option years worth $20 million each after
Team or
this
club?
year. I believe it's team.
Or team or club? Team or player? Jeez.
Team. Yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't. Because you also have you have a somewhat, call it logjam at third base. It's not like a massive one, but there is definitely a logjam at third base. Mark Vientos, maybe you could put him at first base, but even then you got Pete Alonso. So it just ideally you got Pete Alonso. So to me, it's kind of a thing of center field is an issue right now for the Mets. You do that because I've also said before too, a prospect should not stop you from getting a very good player. Now, Lubob, up and down, because he hasn't really shown that potential for like a decent bit. But at the same time, again, it could just be lip service, but a lot of guys that were former teammates with him have come out and said, like, yeah, when he gets traded, he will play a lot better somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, because that's even the thing with Ryan McMahon that I'm kind of looking at, where he's had a phenomenal 2 first games, and part of that could just be because he got him out of Colorado where games actually matter. So, again, I don't know how much stock to put into that. I probably do that trade. I don't know about you, but
To your point about the change of scenery, I mentioned it last week. Gavin Sheets and Andrew Vaughn both left the White Sox. Both are having the best years of their career. When it initially came out, I was kind of like, yeah, probably. Like I would do that. The more I think about it, I'm not sure I would. Mark Vientos has 4 years of control left. Robert has the potential to be a rental. Like, say you trade for him and he does not play any better, you are not picking up that $20 million option. Or I highly doubt you are, unless you want to give him a full season. So if you trade Mark Vientos for basically, 60 games of Luis Robert, and then he doesn't play well, awful.
yeah.
His saving grace is he does fit this team super
Like a
well,
glove.
obviously.
Like a glove.
Center field, near elite defense, mashes lefties as bad as he's been. I mentioned it last week. He still isn't above average hitter against lefties this year. Again, he plays excellent defense. He's a good base runner. And he's been hot as of late. So yes, he does fit this team super well. I do not think there is a better fit this entire trade deadline than Luis Robert to the Mets.
I'm just looking at his splits righty lefty, and holy shit. He has a 47 WRC plus versus righties, 165 against lefties.
Mashes lefties.
His walk rate
I don't know what it is, but
his walk rate is double against lefties. His strikeout rate is 10% lower. His on base is like it's not double, but it's close to double. His slugging is doubled. It's his OPS is 525 to 966.
Night and day.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So he fits super well. I'm not sure if I do that for, almost a rental. Because look, I understand Mark Vientos does not provide much if he's not hitting. He can't field. He can't run.
Let me rephrase that. He does not provide anything if he's not hitting.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I guess I was just being a little nice. He doesn't provide anything if he's not hitting. And for this entire year, he hasn't been hitting. And I do think it's more of a testament to Brett Beatty, Ronnie Mauricio. I think this says more about what they've done than what Mark Vientos hasn't done to an extent. Brett Beatty has shown he's basically an everyday guy now. Ronnie Mauricio is an everyday guy against right-handed pitching. It's just, if there's an odd man out in the quartet I've been talking about, it's Mark Vientos. And my soul burns talking about it because I went into this year expecting Mark Vientos to not be as good as he was last year. Not to be this bad.
I was going to say, you manifested it with your bold prediction.
I did. And to an extent, I was right. And to an extent, it was worse than I could have thought. Brett Beatty is playing every day, but at the cost of Mark Vientos. I can't win. It's one step forward, 2 steps back, but
to quote a wise man, Shane Gillis, oh, fuck, that's way worse.
Yeah, basically. On top of all this, Mark Vientos does not have any more options. So he has to be on the team.
You cut out, by the way, you said options. Just for the viewers, for the viewers listening back at home.
He does not have any of them. He has no options, Mark Vientos. So he has to be on the team. For a team like the White Sox, that makes all the sense in the world. You know? So I think if it's a package of Luis Robert plus, I'm willing to move Mark Vientos.
Who would that
And
plus
I'm
even
willing to
be?
move Mark Vientos overall. For the right deal, I think I'm okay with that. I don't think I can sell myself trading Mark Vientos for Luis Robert. But it just, Mark Vientos is the odd man out. That's what this comes down to. He doesn't really have a place on this roster. 37-year-old Starling Marte
He's
is
37.
out hitting him.
He's 37.
What do you think Starling Marte's WRC plus is for the year?
87?
No. He's above average.
Oh, okay. 105.
Higher.
111.
Higher.
116.
Higher.
120.
Higher.
130.
129.
Damn. I undershot him there. I don't know why I was that rude, but
Starling Marte has a 129 weighted runs created plus of a 788 OPS at 37 years old. Mark Vientos has a 638 OPS. Mark Vientos is getting the start tonight at DH on Monday. He probably shouldn't. So I'm just going to end it off with this, that I'm willing to move Mark Vientos, and I do want Luis Robert. I think I've kind of sold myself on that. I don't think I could do Mark Vientos or Luis Robert. And if the White Sox are asking for too much, I think the Mets should comfortably walk away. I did say I'm not comfortable with Jeff McNeil starting in center field, but maybe, you mentioned him for the Yankees. Maybe just bring back Harrison Bader.
how funny would it be if the two New York teams are having a bidding war to bring back Vader after I feel like both teams kind of ran him out of town?
Yeah.
Or both fan bases.
So, that being said, there are 3 days for the trade deadline. It sounds like if Robert is getting traded, it is to the Mets. I have not seen anything else regarding Luis Robert and another team. I don't know about you.
Not really.
And when there's smoke, there's fire. So I do think there's a
Or
lot.
agents just trying to get their players traded.
That's it. I do think there's a lot to these rumors. And if Robert's getting traded, I do think it's to the Mets. I would like that, just not for Mark Vientos.
Yeah.
But that's going to wrap up the trade deadline stuff. So I'm just quickly going to go over the Giants series. A very impressive sweep, I must say. The Mets do not play well in Oracle Park. The Mets do not hit Logan Webb. They did both on Friday night. The bullpen did not allow a run all 3 games. It was super impressive from a lot of the younger guys, particularly Ronnie Mauricio going 4-for-4 on Sunday. And I texted you this, and I can't believe I'm saying this because there's so many on this podcast. If Ronnie Mauricio somehow gets traded, I will be upset. He has shown much more than I think he could have. And I have been super, super impressed with what I've seen from him. He does need work hitting lefties, but you cannot ask for much more what he's doing against right-handed pitching. And that is a 156 weighted runs created plus. That's a 913 OPS. He's hitting 300. His on base is 366, and he's slugging nearly 550. I've been super impressed with Ronnie Mauricio, and I'm very glad all of baseball got to see him on Sunday night. Francisco Alvarez, another good series, returning from the not the injured list, from AAA. He went 4 for 11 this series, scoring 3 runs. He was in the middle of like every rally. He just clutch hit after clutch hit. Even if it's not an RBI hit, he moved the runners over. He got on base. He has looked so much better coming up from AAA. And if he can hit well, then I'm okay with having Tyrone Taylor in center field if Francisco Alvarez can be an above average bat. I didn't think about it till now, but I'm going to pull up his stats since returning. But he's opened up his swing, not as closed off. Talked about that. Take daddy hacks.
If it wasn't for him not having any options, I think that you probably should send Mark Vientos down just because of what happened with Alvarez and hope that something similar that can happen. If not, see you in 2026.
Yeah, I think if Mark Vientos had options, he would have been in AAA months ago.
Yeah.
Months ago. But back to Alvarez. Since his return, it's been about a week worth of games, so take it for what you will. And in that week, he's played 5 games. He's hitting .353 for .450 on base, a .765, it's a .234 weighted runs created plus. He's striking out only 15% of the time, walking 15% of the time. He has looked like a completely different hitter, and I'm so happy. Just hope it stays and stays consistent. He's looked so good.
I also wonder how much, because obviously he still played like a good amount in AAA, but kind of like a little bit less pressure / work is going to be for his long term this season, just because something a lot of people talk about is pressure pitches for pitchers. Is that the same concept for catchers, do you think? Pressure, kind of like innings
Maybe.
caught, kind of like time
Maybe.
where, I don't know, it may sound weird, but like, would that almost reset at a lower playing level, kind of make him fresher for the end of the season? Because that is a concern that I do have for catchers going down the stretch, going into the playoffs, that they just are going to be so burnt out. I feel like that happened last year where you had the catchers for all 4 of the teams and the CSs were just abysmal offensive, like god awful offensively,
Yeah.
up in
Yeah.
like in the CSs, because they were so burnt out, because they were just rode every single day.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's definitely fair. Maybe. I mean, it just feels fresh. It's kind of like a new lease on life type of thing for him.
Yeah.
And, I do think it is kind of like a humbling experience. Kind of like a little bit of what's it called? Like whiplash, I guess.
Mm.
Like, hey, you've been in the major leagues, but if you don't produce, you're going back
Puts
down. Like,
puts things into perspectives.
yeah. So, just super happy for Alvarez, and I hope it continues. Last 2 notes here. Kodai Senga has been a little shaky since returning from the IL. Hasn't got past 5 innings. He only allowed 3 runs on Sunday, but it just felt like he got so lucky it wasn't more. He walked 5 guys in 5 innings, allowing 4 hits, 9 base runners in 5 innings. He only let up 3 runs, and all of them were home runs by Matt Chapman. I feel like he just got super lucky, but he just hasn't looked crisp since returning from the IL. And to be fair, he did not have a rehab assignment, or I believe he had one. So there wasn't a lot of time to work through things, but hopefully just a blip, because the Mets need him down the stretch. And if he's going to be walking 5 guys, 4 guys a night, and ain't going to do it, because then the bullpen is also going to get completely burnt out.
I feel like Senga's also one of those guys that almost everything has to be perfect in the mechanics, in his pitches, the location, all that. That obviously, like, I feel like the Ghost Fork, absolutely disgusting, and he can afford to miss with that. The other stuff he can't be as forgiving to miss with. So if he's not 100% in tune with everything, that's kind of where you're seeing this. So, because
Yeah,
go
for
back
sure.
to last year with the injuries where he's like, oh, I think I'm good. I'm just going to do a little bit more because this something else, maybe this or this.
Yeah,
or
something
this, or
feels
this.
off.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then lastly, Clay Holmes seems like he's just going to be kind of 5 innings, and 5 and die for the rest of the season,
Fly.
which is fine. The Mets apparently do not have any plans on putting him in the bullpen, which I found very interesting. But
That could also
he's
just be a
still been
confidence thing.
productive. It could also, definitely. I think in the postseason, you'll probably definitely see him in the bullpen, or like kind of like in that
2-3 inning
bullpen
roll.
role. Right. But as far as the season, sounds like they're going to let him ride it out as a starter, which also makes me question what are the plans for, a Brandon Sproat or Nolan McLean or even Blade Tidwell. But that's really all I had. So, quick look ahead. We got Padres starting tonight, Monday, in San Diego. Frankie Montas versus the unluckiest pitcher in baseball, Dylan Cease. Then you got Sean Manaea. Fangraphs has it as Ryan Bergert. And then finishing off Wednesday, Clay Holmes versus Yu Darvish. Then you travel back home, and because the schedulers hate baseball and hate me, you play the Giants again for whatever reason. David Peterson versus Robbie Ray, who you saw. Kota Senga versus Spencer Bivens, and Frankie Montas versus Carson Wissenhunt, which I believe will be, I think that's his major league debut, or maybe his second top pitching prospect for the Giants. But lastly, this is still a pretty important week for the Mets. They took care of business in San Francisco, sweeping them, pushing them further down the wild card race. But as much as the division is within reach, and that should be the goal, being able to keep these guys behind you in that wild card race are also very important. To that point, the Padres currently have the third wild card spot. The Giants are 3 games back. So being able to just keep them at bay, just win the series in San Diego, and then go home pretty happy with what you did on the West Coast. But that's really all I had, Justin. If you had anything else to add on trade deadline,
And if you want to lower Dylan Cease's trade value, wouldn't hate that.
that too. So you can then trade for him and just let him swap locker rooms. I would love that as well. So, with that being said, Justin, if you had nothing else, trade deadline, 3 days away. By the time you're listening to this, 2 days away. It'll be pretty exciting. I fully expect both of these teams to be super, super active. Even if it's not in flashy moves, Yankees just scored.
I love Ryan McMahon, dude.
Oh my
Bases
goodness.
loaded, full count, walked with 2 outs to tie the game up. I love Ryan McMahon, dude.
Amazing. But I do expect both the teams to be active, even if it's not flashy. Both of these teams have flaws,
gonna be
and they
moves.
can be
There's gonna be
patched
moves.
up. Definitely. But that being said, thank you guys so much for listening and or watching. If you're on YouTube, subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a like, leave us a comment. If you're a Yankees fan, what do you want the team to do? If you're a Mets fan, should the Mets trade for Luis Robert? Let us know in the comments below. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating, leave us a review, and follow. Really helps us out, lets us know that you're enjoying everything you're hearing now. And follow all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. We post lineups, we post final scores every single day. Go follow us there. All the news you'll get right in and there before we talk about it on the podcast. Give us a follow. We really, really do appreciate it. So that being said, thank you again for listening, watching, and we'll see you after the trade deadline.